P.S. If you're just landing here, maybe you weren't looking for this, but if it found you, trust that something deeper was. What you're about to witness isn't just a class, it's a key. Let it unlock what's been waiting. Okay, quick heads up before we dive into the recording. I fully intended to be on camera during this masterclass. I have my cute outfit on, it's all symbolic. I feel good, energy was high, but the Zoom god said nope, and it only recorded the freaking slides. At first, I was really bummed because trust me, I'm animated, expressive, like all the hand gestures. And honestly, I look freaking cute. But the truth is I don't wear makeup every day anymore because I'm no longer afraid of being seen. And if you've done the ritual challenge, you know that you've got to see yourself first. So that's the whole point. So maybe this was perfect. You don't need to see my face to feel what's coming through. The words, the energy, the frequency, it's all here. And if you're meant to be a part of this work, you will feel it. The real magic, oh, it happens in the ritual space. That's where we meet face to face and soul to soul. So settle in, take what you need, and let's begin. All right. Welcome to the Ritual Masterclass. And we begin. Let's get down to business. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's go. Change is inevitable, right? But expansion is intentional. The witch's path, the enlightened one's way, the Magus's method, whatever you want to call it, it isn't about avoiding change. It's about directing it, about aligning with it, about transforming with intention before life forces your hand. Because here's the secret. You can't wait for change to happen to you. Or you can wait, for change to happen to you, or you can become the force that shapes it. That's the path of real power. That's what ritual teaches you. That's what this work is for. This wasn't like a product. It was a lifeline. I didn't set out to create this ritual. I was just trying to survive. Years ago, my nervous system and my brain were wrecked. I couldn't focus. I couldn't regulate. My thoughts spiraled. My body shut down. I was depressed. I couldn't sleep. I had no motivation, and I was scared all the time. And I tried, and nothing I tried. No class, no course, no healing modality got to the root of it. And I tried a lot. Sound healings, somatic breath sessions, past life sessions, Reiki, Kundalini yoga, Vinyasa yoga, hypnosis, binaural beats, strict rigid diets, rigid schedules, all the supplements, plant medicine journeys, microdosing, you named it. So I started piecing things together. Breath work, energy work, sacred geometry, quantum theory, Christian mysticism, Kundalini, Qigong, magic, everything I've ever studied or practiced. So this is a little bit about me. These are my stats. I don't know, you can take screenshots. You might want to grab a pen and paper if you want to take notes. There's a lot of stuff to cover today. But I'm a 2-4 manifesting generator, Gemini sun and Taurus moon with a Virgo rising. I'm a mom and a wife. My main 9-to-5 is a realtor, but this is important stuff. So I had to get this out here. Here's all the things that I have studied. I've studied high magic, witchcraft, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, Enochian and angelic work, chaos magic, the Enneagram, Gurdjieff's not the personality one, although I have studied the personality one. Tarot and symbolism, astrology, lunar cycles, human design and energetic blueprints, quantum physics, neuroscience and neuroplasticity, the reticular activating system, the heart-brain coherence, biophotonics and energy fields, sacred geometry and fractals, Qigong and other forms of energy cultivation, Reiki and light work, Kundalini activation, breathwork and pranayama, chanting and mantra work, mudras and hand seals. I've done yoga, you name it. Mysticism wise, Christian mysticism and biblical esotericism, Taoism and the Tao, Buddhist and Vedic practices, shadow work and depth psychology, and somatic experiencing and trauma release. So, and frequency work too. Sorry, I do a lot of stuff. So binaural beats, tuning forks, vibrational healing, the solfeggio frequencies, sound bowls, drumming, all that stuff, right? So setting all of these things, it came to me, not all at once, but in waves. It was like a divine blueprint being handed down one piece at a time. This ritual wasn't something I learned, it was something I remembered, but I needed a certain level of education, both scientific and spiritual, for it to make sense. This practice saved my life. Now I offer it to you to help you reclaim yours. And before I begin, I want to set the tone clearly. This is my life's work, quite literally. It didn't come from one book or a weekend of training. It came through me, intuitively, experientially, and through years of lived trial, error, and revelation. I had to educate myself to the point that I could receive it. It was built from the inside out, not just learned, but lived. You can watch more about my story on YouTube. Just look for From Darkness to Light. And I want to make something very clear before we dive in. I am not here for theory. I am here for action, for embodiment, for the act of expansion itself. If you are looking for more information or deeper theory in any of this, I've likely already shared it somewhere. I have a ton of content available for free across across a few platforms. If something still doesn't click for you, I can absolutely lovingly point you toward the right teacher or source. I have no ego in being the one. I am not here to be worshiped or followed or anything like that. I am here to serve truth. And I also honor that I may not be the best person to deliver every teaching that you seek, and that's okay. But what I am here to do is this: to walk the edge of expansion with you, to illuminate the path forward, to activate your transformation, not intellectualize it. This is a forward-moving experience. I do not go backward. That is a boundary for me. I will revisit something if it's absolutely necessary, but my purpose is to expand and to show others how to do the same. We don't spiral back, we spiral up. So please, out of respect for this container and the energy we are building, hold all questions until the end. I see you, I hear you, and I will address them when the time is right. But right now, we are moving through a very intentional process. So let's begin. Let's take a deep breath, a little bit of neutral time in. Hold and out. I usually make you do this 3 times. In. And we'll get into the law of 3 in a minute. And out. 1 more. In. And out. A little bit of neutral time, just get us in receptive mode. Welcome to the initiation. This is not for passive consumers. This is for those ready to burn away illusion and step into real transformation. Initiation is present in all great traditions, from the ancient mystery schools to spiritual lineages that understood true wisdom must be embodied, not just learned. Even Jesus spoke of this. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. This was Matthew 6:22. It wasn't metaphorical. It was a direct reference to inner perception, the third eye, the singular focus of the mystic. But like so many great teachings, this was distorted and watered down, turned into an abstract concept rather than a practical path to enlightenment. And that's why most people stay stuck. Because spirituality today is treated like a hobby, not an initiation. People consume spiritual content, but never integrate it. They chase information, but information is not transformation. They feel like they're growing, but they're really just accumulating intellectual clutter. This is next level. I'm not here to coddle you or to go backward, but if you need basic teachings, I will happily point you in the right direction. If you're ready to see clearly, I will illuminate the path forward. This ritual is a true initiatory process. It'll show you who you are, what's holding you back, and how to step into your power. Now, let me be very clear. You do not need to be an expert at magic, spells, meditation, or have any psychic abilities to do this ritual. Beginners can absolutely do this, but you must come to this space completely open. If you walk with skepticism, doubt, or an attitude of prove it to me, this isn't going to work for you. Not because the ritual isn't effective, but because you are the missing ingredient. If you cannot surrender to the process, then you have more to learn before you're ready. And that's okay, but I don't recommend that you do this unless you can fully step into the space with trust and curiosity. This is not just something to try out or dabble in. It's an initiation. And for those of you who understand magical theory, who see the deep connections between science, art, and spiritual mastery, you'll appreciate what I'm about to say next. I want to share a quote from Alan and Steve Moore's newest masterpiece, The Moon and Serpent Bumper Book of Magic. And I don't know if you can see me. I hope so. But here it's this. And I'm not here to push this book, but I want you to understand that I am extremely well-versed in occult wisdom, and I welcome all serious explorations of magic, no matter what form that they are delivered. And it's about magic. What is it then, this thing that most of the great artists, scientists, and thinkers who shaped our society considered so important, and yet which is seen as only fit for fools and babies? Let that sink in. Magic, the very thing that built civilizations, fueled the greatest minds, and unlocked the secrets of reality, has been turned into a joke. Why? Because real power threatens control. But here's the truth. You don't need any special powers to access this. You don't need any special knowledge to begin. You just need to be open. This is your initiation. Are you ready to step forward? Ritual is not routine. Every ancient civilization understood this. From the temples of Egypt to the monasteries of Tibet, the ritual wasn't just something you did. It was the foundation of power, transformation, and divine connection. But today, ritual has been stripped of its depth, either reduced to a self-care routine or trapped in religious dogma that reinforces separation instead of unity. Ritual is the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. Even Jesus spoke of this concept, not just in words, but in his very being. He said that we only needed to take the first step and the bridge will appear. That we must do 51% of the work, just enough to activate the path, and the rest unfolds. And this isn't just philosophy, it's an esoteric law of reality. The message is everywhere in the Bible, and I've chosen two for today. So the first one is the parable of the talents. In this parable, a master gives three servants different amounts of money or talents. The ones who invested and took action were rewarded. The ones who the one who buried his talent out of fear lost everything. The meaning in this is spiritual power must be cultivated and practiced. Those who refuse to act remain stagnant. The second one that I've chosen is Peter walking on water. Peter sees Jesus walking on water, and Jesus calls him forward, and Peter steps out of the boat, and for a moment, he walks on water. But then doubt creeps in, and he sinks. The esoteric meaning here is reality conforms to inner certainty. The bridge appears only when you act in full faith. This is like that, the scene in Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, where he's got to walk across the chasm, the void, right? But you have to be in full faith and take the first step. And when he does that, right, the bridge appears, and you couldn't see it before. That always reminds me of that. Every ascended master has been saying the same thing. Magic starts in the mind, but it must be practiced. Faith is a force, but it must be activated. Knowledge is powerful, but it must be embodied. It's been thousands of years. We should be beyond this teaching by now. Here's the New Age paradox and why people are stuck. Yet most people today are still chasing trends, jumping from teaching to teaching and never seeing results. Why? Because spirituality has been watered down into something passive. Modern spirituality has been commercialized. It's all about feeling good, not transformation. The paradox is people see the next big thing, but never integrate anything. True spirituality was never about consumption. It was about participation. You cannot consume your way into transformation. You must practice, which leads us to a deeper problem. Modern traditional religious rituals like communion, eating the body of Christ, drinking his blood are symbolic gestures that reinforce separation, not union. You don't need to consume what you already are. You are already one with God, but religious systems have structured rituals to make you believe that you must seek God externally. Instead of embodiment, these rituals create dependency, giving people just enough to keep them within the system while spiritually starving them of direct experience. It's instead of a symbiotic relationship like it was meant to be, it's like a parasitic relationship. And this is the key difference. True ritual is about integration, not external consumption. The whole point of real spiritual practice, whether in magic, meditation, or devotion, is to strengthen your own energetic field so that you can hold transformation. This is what's missing in both New Age spirituality and modern religion. And here's a few things as far as Christianity and some other religions are concerned that foster more separation. And again, if you need more esoteric teachings, I can point you to the right place. But today we're focused on ritual. So again, we talked about Holy Communion. Confession, requires a priest to absolve your sins rather than a direct personal accountability and connection with God. Baptism, right? That's one saying that you're born separate from God and you've got to be purified before you're accepted. Excommunication, tithing, and prosperity gospel. And you can screenshot if you want to take notes. And then in Islam, daily prayers, it's very rigid structure requiring specific things. They create a belief that divine connection has to be done exactly right or it's invalid. Pilgrimages, just other things that lead you to believe that it's external and not internal, right? And then here's some more in Hinduism and Buddhism. So if you just want to screenshot this or take some quick notes here. The missing key here is building the container. You must build the container before you can hold transformation. Ritual is container work. It strengthens your body, mind, and spirit to sustain real change. And if you've been paying attention, you'll see that this is what all the great teachers have been saying for millennia. Jesus told us to practice the single eye. Buddha taught that the mind shapes reality. Hermetics teaches that we must balance thought and action. It's in the mind, God, and the hands work, right? Without works, faith is dead. Magical traditions teach that ritual bridges the mind and the material world. So why haven't we moved beyond this? Why are we still just talking instead of doing it? Because most people stay stuck in their heads. This is Egypt in the Bible, right? This is prison. This is the prison that you're stuck in. This is where magic begins, but it cannot stay here. You've got to embody it. No noodles. Sorry, he sees a squirrel. You've got to embody it. Practice it, live it. We should be beyond this as a civilization by now. It's time to act. So now we're going to get into the hidden mechanics and the structure that makes ritual an engine for transformation. This is where we're going to bridge the esoterics and science. Here we go. So we're going to start with the law of three. So this is the foundation of transformation. The law of three is not just a mechanical process. It's the very pattern of existence itself. So God, which is right here, this is the symbol for God, right? Oneness, unity. God in its infinite nature had no limitations whatsoever. And they say the only thing that humans have that God doesn't is limitations, right? Because without limitations, there is no experience. So God created limitations to experience existence. And this is why reality unfolds in structured cycles. It's fractals. So first, God split into three, which here, as you can see in the triangle. This is the three forces. This is the closest. This is what witches, magical practitioners work with. So this is the active, so will, creation, or fire. This is passive, receptivity, shadow, water, and the neutralizing force, which is alchemy, balance, and spirit. And then three became six. So this is the first experience of contrast and duality. So this is the masculine and feminine, light and dark, expansion and contraction. And then six became 12. This is where we see the zodiac, the 12 tribes, the 12 apostles, the multiplication of creation. This is where structure emerges. Then 12 became 24. And this is the laws of energy flow. This is the movement. This is where the movement of energy begins. This is cycles, time, and expansion. Then 24 became 48. This is the laws of manifestation. So this is where energy condenses into form. This is where people feel trapped in density. And then 48 became 64. This is the full manifestation of God in form. If you see, this is a toric field. And this is where spirit meets matter fully. This is the 3D. This is the cold, hard ground. This is why DNA, the I Ching, and sacred geometry all follow 64 base structures. The highest force must ripple downward into denser realities to take form. By understanding this, we see why transformation must follow these laws. It is built into reality itself. Next, we're going to move to the law of three. This is how change happens. So every transformation, whether in spiritual growth, alchemy, or manifestation, requires three forces. Active force, which is will, intention, and creation. So the energy that initiates movement here. This is yang, fire, divine spark. An example of this would be setting a goal, deciding to change, or beginning a ritual. The second is the passive force. This is the resistance, subconscious, or the shadow. This is the energy that pushes back, holds space, or reflects. This is the yin, the water, the unknown. Example here is old beliefs, limiting patterns, subconscious fears surfacing. And then we have the neutralizing force. And this is alchemy, balance, integration. This is the energy that reconciles the opposites and transforms reality. Instead of resist, so this is an example would be like, instead of resisting obstacles, this would be like integrating them into the transformation process. Most people get stuck because they only work with two forces instead of all three. They push forward using the active force while facing resistance, the passive force, but they never integrate, neutralize it. So they're doing this and they need to be doing this. So an example here is trying to manifest success while subconsciously fearing responsibility. Ritual works because it activates all three forces at once, allowing true transformation to occur. The next we're going to get into is the law of seven. So why isn't transformation instant, right? Like, why can't you just snap your fingers and Ed McMahon knocks on your door and gives you $1 million? Or why can't you just change your eye color or whatever instantly, or whatever it is, whatever weird thing you want. Because energy doesn't move in a straight line. The law of seven explains that all processes unfold in a structured sequence. So this is where Gurdjieff's Enneagram comes in. Transformation follows a 7-step pattern, just like a musical octave. Energy must move through 7 stages to reach completion. There are 2 critical shock points where most people give up. So here's the stages. So stage 1 is calcination. This is where we break down the old self and where the active force initiates. Then we move to step 2, which is disillusion. This is breaking down ego attachments, and this is where the passive force starts to emerge. Then we've got separation. This is identifying what's real versus what's an illusion. This is the first shock point required for transformation. This is where most people, one of the places where most people get stuck. Then we go to step 4, which is conjunction. This is rebuilding the true self, and this is where the neutralizing force begins. Then we move to fermentation, which is the death before rebirth. This is deep subconscious integration. Then we need another shock point. This is the final test, and this is where the majority of people either evolve or cycle back to, and this is the second shock point. Then we move to step 6, which is distillation. This is where the new self refines and solidifies. This is where the butterfly comes out of the cocoon. Then we've got coagulation, where the new self is fully embodied. Most people quit at stage 3 because they mistake resistance for failure. Most people cycle back at stage 5 because they don't realize that the final test is about to happen here at 6. So here's how to recognize the 2 shock points. Shock point 1 is between stage 3. Shock point 1 is the moment of resistance. This is self-doubt and feeling stuck. So this is the moment when everything feels way too hard, when you doubt if you're even capable, when you're tempted to turn back because transformation feels like it's just asking too much of you. So this is where you start stacking limitations on top of yourself. Shock point 2, this is where life tests you to see if transformation is real. This is the abyss moment, right? The tower moment. This is the point where your old reality claws at you, begging you to stay the same. And this is what they're talking about when they say, fall back to old timelines or old pendulums or whatever you want to call it, old cycles. Most people, and what it does is it disguises itself as logic, fear, and doubt. And most people mistake this final test for failure, but it's actually the moment of rebirth. Ritual aligns you with this process so you don't get stuck in old cycles. The next thing that we're going to talk about here is time. There's 2 different types of time, right? Every good witch knows that. So time's not just one thing. In ancient philosophy, there are 2 types of time. We've got Chronos time, which is linear, measurable time. So this is, minutes, hours, days. This is the time we track, the ticking of the clock, the movement of days. It governs deadlines, schedules, aging, and physical reality. In Greek mythology, Kronos was the old god of time, often depicted as a devourer, consuming everything, including his own children, which is why I picked the Ouroboros here, because that's what that is, the snake eating its tail. This is the time that most people live by, chasing progress, fearing deadlines, and feeling trapped by not enough time. But we also have Kairos time. Kairos time is the divine, opportune time. This is the perfect moment. This is divine timing. This is an event. This is the time of synchronicity, breakthroughs, and alignment. Kairos time is not measured, it's felt. In mythology, Kairos was a younger god, depicted with wings and only a single lock of hair on his forehead, because if you didn't seize him at the right moment, he was gone. Kairos is the window of perfect timing, the moment when transformation just happens effortlessly. Chronos is horizontal, moving in a straight line. Kairos is vertical, descending in perfect moments, and that's what this symbol is. Chronos is effort, repetition, and discipline. Kairos is sudden breakthrough and effortless alignment. We use both of these times in the ritual, and that's why time is a circle here. And that's why there's an enneagram, a circle around the enneagram that represents time, Kairos time, or Chronos time, excuse me. So most people quit when they don't see results quickly in Chronos time. They keep asking, how long is this going to take? But that's not the real question is am I aligned with Kairos? If you trust the process, Kairos will align at the perfect moment. Transformation doesn't just happen just because a certain amount of time has passed. It happens because you've done the work, built the container, and the shift is now inevitable. And this idea isn't just Greek. It's found in many cultures. In Norse mythology, we've got the weavings of fate, right? We've got the norms. They weave the fabric of time, and there's 3 of them. We've got Ordor, who's the past. This represents Kairos, what has already happened. We have Verandi, the becoming, which represents Kairos. This is the moment of perfect alignment, the now, the present moment. And we have Skuld, which is what must come. This represents the unknown future, right? And we want to be able to work with all 3. Fate is woven, but choice exists in Kairos if you know how to seize the right moment. We also see this in Egyptian mythology in the weighing of the heart. So the scales of Ma'at determine whether a soul has achieved alignment, right? The heart is weighed not by time spent on earth, Chronos, but by the lightness of the soul's truth, Kairos. It's not about how much time you had, it's about what you did with it. And if you have Netflix, if you've ever seen The Midnight Gospel, there's one of the episodes is a great visual representation of this. The art in that is just, it's so good. And I love Duncan Trussell, who doesn't? So let's talk about why ritual moves you from Chronos to Kairos. Most people only live in Chronos, right? Just chasing progress, feeling trapped by time. Ritual shifts you into Kairos. If you only focus on how long something takes, you miss the perfect moment when everything clicks. Ritual is designed to align you with Kairos so that when divine timing arrives, you're ready. You don't force the moment. It arrives naturally when your container is strong enough to hold it. And that's why ritual is powerful. It shifts you out of linear thinking and into cosmic alignment. So here's how to recognize Chronos and Kairos, right? So here's some signs that you're stuck in Chronos. Anxiety, obsessing over results, depression, tracking time instead of progress, always feeling trapped and not having enough time. Like, I just need to hurry up and get this done. Signs that you're entering Kairos is that time feels elastic. Synchronicities start to appear and decisions become clear without overthinking. Ritual shifts you out of linear thinking and into cosmic alignment so that when the divine timing arrives, you are ready. So the final key here is 64. So this is the full manifestation of God in form, right? This is the 3D. Hold on, I need to close this. Move your butt noodles. There's sun in my face. In my face. All right. Not up. Now it's dark. Ah. All right, so 64 represents the complete structure of reality, both physically and metaphysically. At this stage, divine intelligence fully crystallizes into form, becoming tangible and expressed in all layers of existence. So the number 64 appears everywhere in the fundamental patterns of existence across biology, mysticism, and cosmic intelligence. So this is the law of octaves right here. Again, I don't want to go into detail, and we did the 7 steps, and that's what that is. So these are the 7 steps of transformation here. We have the shock points 1 and 2, and you do need a shock point to get from mi to fa and from sol to la. And again, this is, the process starts all over again, calcination again in a new octave. So here's where a few places where 64 appears. It appears everywhere in the foundational patterns of existence across biology, mysticism, and cosmic intelligence. It's the divine blueprint. So we see it in DNA, it's the code of life. So human DNA is built on a 64 codon structure, the genetic code that dictates all biological life. This isn't random. The same universal blueprint governing spiritual evolution also governs life itself. Just like ritual unlocks transformation, our DNA holds latent potential waiting to be activated. Then we're going to look at the I Ching, the 64 hexagrams of reality. So the I Ching, or the Book of Changes, is an ancient Chinese divination system, and it consists of 64 hexagrams, each representing a different phase of transformation. The hexagrams mirror life cycles, evolution, and the continuous unfolding of destiny. In both spirituality and physics, 64 represents, sorry, I just cannot see. There we go. The completion of a full system. And then we look in fractals and sacred geometry. This is the flower of life again because of how it unfolds. The way reality unfolds at every level, from microcosm, atoms and DNA, to the macrocosm, galaxies and universal forces, follows a 64-based fractal structure. This pattern exists in the flower of life, the tesseract, which I have here, the Merkaba, and even hyperdimensional mathematics. 64 is the point where infinite potential collapses into form, where spirit meets matter, where the formless takes structure. And we know this, right? The more studies that have show that everything we touch, the chair we're sitting in, our phones, this pen, none of this actually exists, right? It's all just light. But knowing this isn't enough. Just like DNA holds genetic potential that must be activated, your spiritual DNA holds transformation that must be triggered. Ritual is the activation sequence. It moves you through the octaves, unlocking full experience of your divine blueprint. So what does this mean for you? Just like DNA codes are waiting to be unlocked, your spiritual blueprint holds dormant potential waiting to be activated. Ritual is what moves you through the octaves, through the initiatory process, unlocking your full potential. At the lower octaves, we're still learning, shedding illusions, and integrating experiences. By the time we reach 64, we're fully embodied. We become the magus, the creator, the realized self. This is the purpose of ritual, to move beyond resistance and bring us into full alignment with the divine structure of existence. So real quick, let's just summarize if you want to take screenshots. So we went over the law of three. This is transformation requires three forces, right? Active, will, passive resistance, and neutralizing alchemy. Without the third force, change is incomplete. We also went over the law of seven. Transformation unfolds in structured stages with two major shock points. Number one occurs when resistance first arrives, making people feel stuck. Number two happens right before full transformation, disguised as a final test or your tower moment. So where all shit hits the fan, right? Ritual helps you navigate these stages smoothly instead of getting trapped in cycles of doubt. Then we talked about the law of octaves. Every completed 7-stage cycle moves into a higher level of existence. Energy doesn't move in a straight line. It follows the structured waves of expansion. Ritual aligns you with these natural cycles, accelerating transformation. Then we spoke about Chronos versus Kairos time. That transformation isn't linear. It happens when alignment is reached. So Chronos is linear time, right? This focuses on effort, repetition, and deadlines. And then we have Kairos, divine timing, which is the perfect moment when everything comes together. Ritual shifts you into Kairos through Chronos, where breakthroughs happen naturally. Then we talked about 64, which is the final key, full manifestation of divine intelligence and form. We see it in the DNA, we see it in the I Ching, fractals, and sacred geometry. It all reflects this. 64 represents the completion of transformation where spirit fully integrates into material reality. Ritual moves us through the octaves, unlocking our highest potential. Ritual is the bridge that ties all of these laws together, giving you a direct and structured way to move through transformation rather than staying stuck in intellectual understanding. Now we're ready to move on to how the ritual is applied. So we need to start with the three magics and understand the forces behind all spiritual work and why true mastery requires balance. So first, we're going to start with white magic. This is the force of will and creation. This is our active force. So this is manifestation, intention, visualization, external energy work. Where it works here is creating structure, setting goals, and influencing reality. The danger here is that overuse leads to forcing results, spiritual bypassing, and illusion. And let me tell you something, you cannot spiritual bypass. You can sure as hell try, but you cannot fully bypass because it will come back and slap you in the face. This is why people who only focus on love and light magic, they never fully transform. We have to go deep, right? The Enneagram shows us that people stuck in white magic never make it past stage 3, which is separation. And that's right here when we move from white magic to black magic. The misconception of white magic here is that it's a childish fantasy, right? So many people see white magic as naive, like making a wish on a star or writing something on a vision board and hoping really hard that it happens, right? It's fairy tale magic. The idea that white magic is just for love and light makes it seem impractical and or unserious, like the quote, right, from Alan Moore. Manifestation without action. People assume white magic just means thinking positively and ignoring reality. The truth is white magic is real, but only when properly integrated with the other two forces. Without balance, it becomes fantasy and straight up delusion. And delusion is okay to a certain point, right? But it can't get stuck here. It's got to move through the body. We have to get it out of here because then it's just fantasy. A real world example of white magic at work, but stuck or stagnant, is like the law of attraction fanatic, right? They set intentions, create vision boards, and like listen to Abraham Hicks all day long. No offense to Abraham Hicks. I love them. And they visualize success, but they never do any shadow work or make any real world changes. Another person is the spiritual positivity addict. So always talking about raising their vibrations and ignoring negative emotions, just cut them off, right? Avoiding conflict and being all love and light and thinking that that is going to solve everything. What's missing here is they resist the black magic, shadow work and deep introspection and facing limitations. So they never change. They just get stuck right here. They get stuck at this point. Next, I want to talk about black magic. And this is the force of the subconscious and shadow. So this is the passive force. This is the feminine. This is the dark. This is the moon, right? This is the unseen, the void, the subconscious, the inner world. Where it works here is shadow work, introspection, and dissolving false beliefs. The danger here is if it's not balanced, it leads to stagnation, fear, and obsession with suffering. And you don't even necessarily realize that you're doing that, right? Many people avoid this magic entirely, just choosing to stay in toxic positivity. The Enneagram shows that this is the stage where people either integrate or fall into deep resistance. The misconception of black magic is that it's evil, dark, and dangerous, or I've seen that it because of your skin color or all sorts of weird things, right? Black magic has always been demonized, from religious fear-mongering to Hollywood horror movies. Black magic is feared because it deals with the unknown. And that's what everyone fears, right? That's where fear comes from, is the unknown. It forces you to face the subconscious, your own darkness and hidden truths. People just assume it's about curses, demons, and doing evil, but in reality, it's about reclaiming power. And the funny part about that is I want to like necromancy and stuff like that. Like that's well, anyway, I'm not going to get into it. We have moving on. Stay focused, Chris. A real world example of black magic at work, but stagnant here, is like the trauma healing addict. So this is someone constantly diving into shadow work, reliving their past wounds over and over and identifying as in healing forever. This is the recovering whatever. This is the someone who's always in recovery, right? Another example of this is the dark mystic. This is someone who's obsessed with the occult, conspiracy theories, the underworld, and shadow work, but never integrates light or balance. A lot of times, these people have a lot of religious trauma, which is totally understandable, right? But what's missing in both of these is that they resist white magic, building a positive structured reality where they can apply what they've learned. And then the third force is red magic. This is the force of sacrifice and alchemy. And people get scared when they hear the word sacrifice, right? That triggers a lot of people, but we'll get into that. Where it works here is in releasing old identities, radical transformation, and deep healing. This is letting go, right? This is death and rebirth. This is ego dissolution. The danger here is sacrificing too much without direction. That's what leads to self-destruction and burnout. Yeah. The Enneagram reveals this as the final test. This is shock point 2 in order to get from black to red magic. The last moment before true embodiment or collapse into old cycles. Because the law is, right, you're 100% full at all times. So you need to make room in order to move to the next. You've got to let something go to get something. The misconception of red magic here is blood sacrifices, right? And extremism. So when people hear red magic, they assume it's like blood rituals or animal sacrifice or extreme dangerous acts. Movies, horror stories, and fear-based myths have given red magic a terrible reputation. In truth, red magic is about symbolic sacrifice, letting go of old identities, outdated beliefs, and ego attachments. This is what they say, the full moon is great for letting go. This is what they're talking about. It's not about harming others. It's about surrendering to transformation. A real-world example of red magic at work, but stuck, is the identity shifter. This is somebody who's constantly destroying the old self, and they keep reinventing themselves, right, over and over again. But they never integrate a stable identity. They're always in flux, just constantly reinventing. Another example of this is the wanderer. So this is someone who goes through deep initiations and travels the world, abandons all attachments, right? Just goes to the next plant medicine ceremony or the next monastery or the next teaching, right? But they never build anything lasting. What's missing here is they resist both white magic, stability and creation, and black magic, which is the true integration, right? All three. So this is how the energy works. The Enneagram is a map of transformation, showing how these forces interact dynamically. The Enneagram's 9 points corresponds to different phases of white, black, and red magic in the cycle of transformation. So we start at Enneagram point 1. This is the initiate. This is the white magic line right here. This is the line of white magic. So the transformation phase here is setting the foundation, creating structure. Where we can get stuck here is perfectionism or rigid dogmas. Then we move on to the seeker. This is still white magic, and this is where we develop spiritual will and external service. Where we can get stuck here is codependency and external validation. Now we move to point 3. This is the illusion breaker. This is where we shift from white magic to black magic. This is your first identity crisis. This is where the beginning of deeper awareness starts. Stagnation here is superficial spirituality or fear of going deeper, fear of going within. If we do this process correctly, we can move on to this process in a much smoother, informed, and safe feeling way, right? Excuse me. Then we move on to the abyss walker. So then we go to black magic. This is shadow work, facing trauma and fears. Where we get stuck here is suffering, depression, and avoidance of light, just holding on to these limitations, holding on to all of it, and not processing it, not looking at it. Then we move on to point 5, which is the dark hermit. This is where we gather occult knowledge and do deep inner exploration. Where we can get stuck here is in isolation, nihilism, and rejecting the outside world. I have been stuck at all of these points, by the way, and I don't know if you have too, if some of this is coming online for you. But it's really nice to know exactly where you are so that you can move forward with confidence, right? So the next point is the shock point. So this is the final test here. This is the guardian of the threshold. And this is where we move from black magic to red magic. This is the final test before true transformation. So this is the one where you go, I'm this person now, and the universe goes, oh yeah, we'll see about that, right? So where we get stuck here is fear of surrender, doubting everything, thinking that we're failing, right? We can't push through. We can't make that sacrifice. We can't embody that person. Once we've pushed past this test, then we get to be the alchemist. This is our ego death. This is sacrifice. This is rebirth. This where we can get stuck here is self-destruction without reintegration. So we just keep letting stuff go, right? We get stuck on our loop here and we don't move on. And then moving on is the sovereign. So this is still red magic. This is reclaiming our power, integrating all forces. And where we can get stuck here is power obsession and authoritarianism. I know I said that wrong, but I think that kind of gives you a hint as to where the leadership of our country is stuck right now. And then we move on. And again, this is a magical process. So you can use this for quote unquote evil if you want. You can use this however you want. That's the beauty of life. You have the choice. And then we move on to the master, which I'm not sure if you can see it because of this thing. I don't know if I get this out of the way. And then we get to the master. So this is full embodiment. This is true balance of all magics. Where we can get stuck here is avoiding future cycles or resisting growth. We're like, oh my God, that was so hard. I don't want to ever do that again, right? But when you know where you're at, it's a lot easier to make the choice to move. Without all three, the journey is, without all three, the journey is incomplete. Those stuck in white magic never enter the depths of transformation. Those stuck in black magic never rise out of their suffering. And those who fear red magic resist true ego dissolution. The ritual challenge is designed to bring balance to these three forces, guiding you through each stage with clarity. So real quick, we'll summarize if you want to update your notes. So, or take a screenshot. So white magic is the active force. That's creation, structure, willpower. So people that get stuck here are law of attraction junkies, spiritual bypassers, or perfectionists. Then we've got black magic, which is the passive force. This is shadow work, introspection, and breaking illusions. So people stuck here, trauma addicts, conspiracy theorists, and the dark mystics. Red magic is the neutralizing force. So this is ego death, radical transformation, and full integration. People stuck here, identity shifters, wanderers, and self-destruction cycles. The Enneagram shows us how these magics interact dynamically, each playing a role in spiritual evolution. Now we're going to move to the illusions that are keeping you stuck. Transformation is not about learning more. If knowledge alone created change, everyone who reads a spiritual book would be enlightened. And I've read a ton of them. But people stay trapped in illusion, thinking they're growing when they're actually stuck. So here's where most people get caught. The first one is the spiritual consumerism trap. So this is chasing knowledge, but never integrating. People think that reading, watching videos, or collecting techniques equals transformation. They become hoarders of information, jumping from teacher to teacher, course to course, book to book, seeking the next secret that will finally change everything. This keeps you stuck because your subconscious starts to confuse learning about change with actually changing. So the brain keeps releasing dopamine when it encounters new knowledge, creating the illusion of progress without real action. What happens here is they never commit to one practice long enough to see results. They feel like they're working on themselves constantly, but don't ever see a real shift. The truth is that transformation comes from embodiment, not consumption. And real quick, I want to touch on something called Wendigo. So the Native Americans, when the white man, the colonizers first came into this country, they and the indigenous people observed us, right? Or I say us because I'm a white person, sorry, but observed them. They noticed just, with all the destruction and death and everything in their wake, right? Cutting down all the trees and the resources and all the things that we did. And this need to conquer, this need to own everything, this very masculine active force, right? The natives called it Wendigo, and it was they saw it as like a disease, as like a sickness, as like a black hole that we have inherently inside of us. And that's what Christianity and modern religion has done to us. It's created this hole that we keep trying to fill with something. And the ritual forces integration, not in a way that's like forceful, in a way that working out and doing cardio forces you to burn calories, right? It stops the cycle of endless learning by making you actually apply what you know. The second trap is the manifestation hustle trap. So this is trying to force results without alignment. People misuse manifestation principles, believing that they've got to grind, force, and constantly just high vibe their way into success. They treat manifestation like a hustle, believing that if they just do enough affirmations or vision boards or scripting, their desires are just going to magically appear. What happens here is they ignore energetic alignment, focusing on constant action rather than actual transformation. And then they get frustrated, right? And it doesn't work. When it doesn't work, they become obsessed with external results rather than internal shifts. They feel frustrated when things don't work, and this leads to burnout, doubt, and self-blame. Manifestation works best when it's aligned with divine timing, energetic cycles, and real internal shifts. If your inner world doesn't shift, your external world never will. As above, so below. As within, so without. Those sayings aren't just sayings. This is why the ritual challenge has been aligned with greater energetic forces so that you're not working against universal timing, but you're working with it. The third trap is the shadow avoidance trap. This is healing without doing the real work. Many people convince themselves that they're doing shadow work when they're really just circling the same wounds over and over again. They mistake venting, processing, or journaling with actual healing. They intellectualize their pain instead of facing it in an embodied way. What happens here is they stay in healing mode forever, never moving into real transformation. They believe that uncovering wounds is the work, when in reality, healing requires integrating and then moving beyond them. The truth is that shadow work isn't just about identifying wounds, it's about breaking their grip on you. You don't heal by sitting in pain forever. You heal by stepping into your power. Ritual moves this energy through the body, breaking the cycle of analysis paralysis. And one of the biggest illusions and limitations that people fall into is waiting for the right time to start transformation, to start anything. Here's the truth. There is never a perfect time, but there are aligned times where transformation can flow more easily. So people use waiting for the right time just as an excuse to delay action. But this challenge isn't just happening at any time, it's happening at the perfect energetic window. So what makes this the right time? This challenge has been aligned with major energetic shifts, planetary cycles, and deeper cosmic movements. When you work with divine timing, everything accelerates. So here's the greater energies behind this ritual. This isn't just another spiritual program. This is an initiation. This is real witchcraft. This is timed for maximum impact and potency. So we've got Ostara that just happened 2 days ago, and well, then the spring equinox, right? This is the gateway to rebirth. Ostara is the spring equinox is a moment of perfect balance between light and dark, marking the start of a new cycle. This is the perfect time to plant seeds, both physically and energetically. The third quarter moon, which is today, this is the course, right? This is the moon phase of reflection, release, and preparation. We enter the course by letting go of what no longer serves us and clearing the way for new intentions. This is the moment to break free from past cycles before stepping into the new. Then we've got Mercury retrograde, which is why I'm having problems talking, because I'm a Gemini. And Mercury makes you go inside, introspect. So Mercury's in retrograde from Aries back into Pisces. This is pushing us to reflect deeply on our own identity, our communication, and our truth. While some people fear retrogrades, this is actually the perfect time for spiritual introspection, recalibration, and course correction. Transformation is best done during times of deep internal review, and this retrograde is supporting just that. We also have Venus retrograde. Venus retrograde in Aries forces us to reassess our relationships with self-worth, our relationships with externally, but because it's in retrograde, it's more of an internal focus, right? So it's for us to reassess our relationship with ourself, our self-worth, and our desires. Are you living in alignment with what you truly value? This energy supports deep inner work, clearing blocks to love, purpose, and abundance. Mars, if you're in the human design, Mars just moved into gate 62, which is details and precision and expression. So this is a great time to refine yourself. Neptune's also shifting into Aries on March 30th. Neptune is the planet of spirituality, illusions, and divine inspiration. It's moving into Aries for the first time in over 160 years. This is a call to action. The old passive spirituality is dissolving. The new era of embodied, fearless spiritual practice begins. This course is the perfect initiation into that shift, helping you align the new energies and step fully into your power. The card for this closes on the new moon, which is March 29th. The new moon is the time of setting intentions and making commitments. This is when you make the decision to step forward and claim your transformation. This is when you put skin in the game, right? Like, I am going to do this. I commit. The ritual itself begins on the first quarter moon, which is April 4th. The first quarter moon is the moon of action. This is where we step forward into the work, overcoming resistance and anchoring into the transformation process. Every phase of this challenge has been aligned with cosmic forces to give you the most powerful momentum possible. And on a side note, Kali Yuga is also ending, and that was a 26,000 year cycle, and it's ending now. That was what we've called like the dark ages. So we were coming out of that, like the age of Aquarius, but in another tradition. So summary real quick, we'll go over what we just went over. So the summary here is the, where we get stuck here. So the spiritual consumer, see, Mercury retrograde, the spiritual consumerism trap. So knowledge without embodiment, right? The manifestation side hustle trap. So trying to force results. So stuck in our active magic instead of aligning with real energetic shifts, or the shadow avoidance trap. And this is saying stuck in healing mode forever, mistaking processing for true transformation. And either way, we're stuck in suffering, right? Either way. And why, if we're truly gods, if we're God's children, and the only thing that, and we have this gift of limitation and separation that God gave us, why would we choose to suffer? And then the illusion of the right time. waiting instead of aligning with the actual energetic shifts happening right now. You know, I timed this as best as I could. So, you know, that's up to you. So moving on, we're going to get into science. Yay, science. Woo! So out of the woo and into 2025. Here we go. So this is how the ritual rewires your brain, shifts your nervous system, and creates real transformation at a biological level. Like thousands of years, mystics, sages, and alchemists have used ritual as a gateway for transformation. Now, modern science is finally catching up, proving what ancient wisdom has always known. Ritual is not spiritual fluff. It physically changes the brain, nervous system, and energy field. Do I have this? Oh, no, too far. Okay, sorry, everyone. I wasn't sure. I have it marked out, but I got a little lost. All right. So why do rituals work? Because they create real lasting changes in the brain. So first, we're going to talk about neuroplasticity. This is the brain's ability to rewire itself. Your brain is not static. It is constantly being rewired by your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Rituals create repetition, which strengthens neural pathways, making transformation inevitable. An example of this is if you're like, what they say, words or spells, right? If you constantly tell yourself, I am stuck, your brain wires that into reality. If you instead engage in a daily ritual that reinforces, I am powerful, your brain starts to believe it as fact. Next, we're going to talk about the role of the reticular activating system, or the RAS. The RAS is the filtering system in your brain that determines what you notice in reality, and that's what this diagram is. When you engage in a ritual, you reprogram the RAS to focus on opportunities, patterns, and energies that align with your intention, whatever your intention is. Example, if your ritual is about abundance, your brain will start filtering reality to notice abundance where it previously saw lack. And this ritual is fully customizable. The bigger theories are, or the bigger energies and intentions are there. But again, this is a very personal transformation process, right? Now we're going to talk about the placebo effect. Studies have shown that belief alone can trigger real biological healing and transformation. So if you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza or Dr. Bruce Lipton or any of that kind of stuff, this is stuff that they've been, studying for decades, and it's finally starting to come into light and really gain popularity. And we see this all the time, though. People, on death's door that heal their tumors or cancer or whatever the thing is, right? Or even placebo tests in, studies that show that placebos, when people actually believe that something's going to help them, it does, even if it's just a sugar pill. Rituals harness this effect, directing belief toward deliberate, controlled transformation. So if people can heal through placebos, imagine the power of a consciously designed ritual. Next, I want to talk about your nervous system. One of the biggest obstacles to transformation is a dysregulated nervous system. And this is an actual picture of your nervous system. It's super creepy, right? And that's your roots almost in every piece of you. Most people live in constant stress, which blocks real change. We are always stuck in fight or flight in our lizard brain, right? We can't get into rest and digest. We can't do the things that we need to do. And a lot of us don't even realize that we're stuck in this. Because the world is stressful, especially right now, man, holy cow. So when the nervous system is stuck in fight or flight or sympathetic activation, the body cannot can't integrate new experience. This is why people keep repeating the same cycles. They're chemically addicted to their stress responses. So how ritual regulates your nervous system is through breath work and intention. So this signals safety to the brain. Not only do we make sure that we are physically safe in a space when we perform this ritual together, but we also signal internally, our body, everything else, that it is safe. You can stop for a moment. It's okay now. Also through repetition and structure. So this creates a predictable rhythm, which calms the amygdala, which is the fear center. And if you know me, you know about my amygdala. Mine was 95% eroded away. I was terrified at the wind blowing. And here I am. Look at me. And I'm all over the internet. Like, this stuff freaking works. And the science shows it. Then through somatic activation, which is movement, chanting, or symbolic actions, which physically anchor our new realities into the body. We also through theta brainwave states. So I don't know if you know about the different brainwave states. It's an easy enough thing to Google. Ritual induces a trance-like state where reprogramming happens easily. This is how we break through into our subconscious. So why this matters is if your body's in survival mode, you can't manifest, heal, or transform. Ritual moves you from survival into flow where change actually happens. Now we're going to talk about ritual and quantum reality. I don't have a slide for this because it's hard to show. But the quantum model of reality states that everything is energy, including your thoughts, emotions, energy in motion, and actions. Why ritual works on an energetic level is its focused intention plus repetition equals your quantum imprint. When you repeat an intention in ritual, you imprint it into the quantum field. The more emotion and belief you put into it, the stronger the energetic signature. This also collapses the wave function. This is quantum superposition. So in quantum mechanics, possibilities exist as waves until they are observed, the double split experiment, right? Ritual acts as the observer effect, collapsing possibilities into reality. And then coherence between mind, body, and energy. So studies from the Heart Math Institute shows that when your thoughts, emotions, and physical state are aligned, reality responds faster. Ritual bridges all three of these, making transformation inevitable. So your energy field, your aura, like that's all real. Ritual works because it activates transformation on every single level of your being. Neuroscience rewires the brain and creates new neural pathways for success. We regulate your nervous system, which moves you from stress into flow where the real change happens. And then we use quantum mechanics. It aligns your energy field to attract and manifest the reality that you desire. This is why the 44-day ritual challenge is different. It's not just a practice, it's a complete system for rewiring your reality. It aligns brain science, nervous system regulation, and quantum energy with ancient wisdom. This is the bridge between science and spirituality. And now you know how to walk it. So first we're going to start, because this isn't just theory, right? Scientific studies have repeatedly proven that intention and ritual create real measurable change. So let's look at case study number 1. So this is the Heart Math Institute, Coherence and Manifestation. So the Heart Math Institute has conducted studies showing that when the brain and heart reach coherence through focused intention, they generate a strong electromagnetic field that influences reality. Your energetic body, your aura, all of that is real. This means that your thoughts and emotions, they don't just stay inside of you. They interact with the world around you. This is scientifically proven. How this ties to the ritual is ritual forces coherence. Again, it doesn't force it. It's like a workout routine, right? It forces coherence between thought, emotion, and action, making your energy field stronger and more magnetic to what you desire. Our case study number 2 is Masaru Emoto's water experiments. These are really cool if you're not familiar with them. Google them. There's tons of them out there. This is the power of words and intention. Dr. Masaru Emoto's famous water experiments demonstrated that words, thoughts, and emotions physically change the molecular structure of water. Positive intentions created symmetrical, beautiful crystalline structures. Negative words created chaotic, broken patterns. Considering that humans are 70% water, this means that your thoughts, words, and rituals are literally reshaping you at a cellular level. Case study number 3 is brain scan research. This is meditation and ritual. It actually alters your brain chemistry. MRI studies on Buddhist monks and long-term meditators show that focused practice physically changes the brain, increasing gray matter in areas related to focus, emotional regulation, and intuition. So if you look at the one on the left, this is right after doing the kirtan, before and after doing the kirtan kriya, and we do start every ritual with the kirtan kriya, period. The science behind that particular kriya is outstanding. I've done plenty of videos on it. You can happy to go find them or ask me. I can send you a link. But the science and everything is out there. So we always start the ritual with the kirtan kriya, and I will never gatekeep that information. It is insanely beneficial. As someone who lost their grandmother to Alzheimer's, this reverses dementia, depression, all sorts of stuff. And then this is the brain before and after meditation, right? So it calms the brain. So ritual amplifies these effects by adding physical movement, breath work, and symbolic actions, making transformation even more powerful than meditation alone. So what does this mean? Ritual is not just spiritual practice. It's a biological, neurological, and quantum level tool for transformation. The science is clear. What you focus on, you become. What you repeat, you embody. What you ritualize, you manifest. So let's talk about the ritual of light itself. This is my ritual. This is the bridge between thought and embodiment. Magic begins in the mind, right? But it cannot stay there. Transformation requires more than knowledge, more than visualization, more than theory. It must be embodied. It must be practiced. This is the purpose of the ritual, to bridge the gap between thought and form, aligning mind, body, and energy into one cohesive force. The ritual of light is not just one practice. It's a carefully structured system designed to move energy in a precise way to clear blockages, activate potential, and anchor transformation into your reality. It combines multiple disciplines, each one chosen for its unique power in shifting energy, strengthening the container, and guiding the practitioner through real, measurable change. What makes this ritual so powerful is most spiritual practices focus on only one aspect of transformation. They either work on energy but neglect the body. They train the mind but ignore the emotions. They focus on intention but they fail to move it into action. The ritual of light is built differently. It aligns every layer of your being, mental, physical, energetic, and spiritual, so that change isn't just an idea, it becomes an inevitable reality. So here's the techniques woven into this ritual. Breath work, pranic activation, right? This is the force of life. The breath is the link between consciousness and the body. This ritual utilizes breath work techniques to clear stagnation, unlock energy, create flow, and of course, to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, right? We also work with Kundalini activation. This is the inner fire. So this isn't just about awakening energy. It's about channeling it intentionally. Kundalini work moves dormant power upward, unlocking insight and potential. We also use sound and vibration. This is the language of reality, right? Octaves. Why is it the law of octaves? Why is that sound, right? Because certain frequencies alter brain waves, nervous system responses, and energetic fields. This ritual utilizes vibrational resonance to shift consciousness and amplify intention. We also use, it's Qigong and Reiki. So this is energy flow and amplification. Darn you. I should have double checked that. Darn me. How embarrassing. These ancient systems direct energy through the body to break through stagnation and cultivate internal strength. The combination of Qigong structured flow and Reiki's intuitive healing enhances the ritual's power. We also use sacred geometry and movement. This aligns us with universal patterns. So the body's not separate from cosmic structure, right? We know that now. The movements within this ritual mirror the flow of energy and sacred geometry, helping the practitioner embody universal alignment. This is us activating our Merkaba light vehicle, is a great way to put it, or being a light worker, actually working with the light, working with the energies. We also utilize hermetic and high magic principles. This is the hidden laws of reality. So this ritual isn't just movement or breath work. It's built on esoteric principles that govern manifestation, transformation, enlightenment, and consciousness itself. Every motion, breath, and vibration is designed to work with these hidden laws rather than against them. So what this ritual is designed to do is on a blanket level is clear stuck energy that keeps you trapped in cycles of frustration, anger, disappointment, and bitterness, right? Depending on your human design. So those are what you mostly come to depending on who you are. It strengthens your nervous system and mind so you can hold more power without burnout. It activates your will and intuition. Oh, I did it again. Intuition. I'm blaming Mercury retro. Because I went over this like 50 times. Syncing you with divine. Oh, I did it again. Divine timing. I'm just gonna pick it apart now. And flow. And it moves you beyond mental barriers and into embodied transformation. Mercury. It's like corn. So this is not passive. This is not a meditation where you simply sit and observe. If you want that, I do have a free visual journey that was gifted to me through Hecate. And, you can go ahead and get that. You can put it in the comments. I'll send you the DM to the link. But this is ritual. This is real, structured, and designed to forge lasting change. It's medicine steeped in mysticism, distilled by science, and served to you in a cup of witchcraft. Everything you've learned so far has been preparing you for this. So this is how we'll talk about how the Enneagram ties into the 44 days. So the ritual of light itself is then combined with 44 days of structured inner work using the Enneagram, which is a precise map of transformation based on the laws of 7 and 3. So why, and this is, just so you know, the Enneagram itself, Gurdjieff's Enneagram, that's what Tesla was talking about, not writing it 3 times or whatever the hell, like these spiritual gurus are saying. That's not what he's talking about at all. So why 44 days? It's because we move through 5 complete Enneagram cycles, working through each phase of transformation in a structured way. So how it works is the ritual fuels your energetic movement. The Enneagram provides the framework to track your progress, navigate resistance, and maintain laser focused on your intention. And each cycle takes us deeper, ensuring that we don't just experience temporary tiny shifts, but create permanent change. This isn't just a practice, it's a system designed for breakthrough. So now you understand the esoteric and mystical power of ritual. You've seen the ancient wisdom that has been passed down for thousands of years. You've seen the scientific proof that confirms that it works. You know why people stay stuck. You know why transformation requires more than knowledge. So there's only one question left. Will you take the step? You've seen behind the veil. Now it's time to step through. The 44-day ritual challenge is where it happens. Doors close on the new moon, which is the 29th, a week from today. The ritual begins on the first quarter moon, which is April 4th. This is your moment. Take a step. Join us. The initiation is complete, but the real journey, it begins now. You've seen why the ritual is the missing key. You've seen the ancient wisdom and spiritual mechanics behind transformation, the illusions that keep people stuck, how ritual aligns with divine timing, the science that proves why it works. So there's only one question left. Are you gonna take the leap? You didn't go through this initiation just to turn back now. You can't unsee it. You are standing at a threshold. Behind you are the same patterns, the same doubts, and the same fears, the same old cycles. Ahead of you is a completely different reality. one where you aren't just seeking truth, but you're embodying it. If you don't take action, you'll return to spiritual consumerism, learning but never integrating. You stay stuck in the manifestation hustle, pushing but never aligning. You remain in shadow avoidance, processing endlessly but never evolving. You keep telling yourself, oh, I'll do it when I'm ready, but you're never gonna feel ready because transformation requires a leap. And the truth is, you are ready. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. The 44-day ritual challenge is your next step. It's not just a course. This is a system for real transformation. You will experience ritual firsthand. You will move through each stage of transformation, guided and supported. You will align yourself with the forces that have shaped spiritual mastery for thousands of years. You will step into the reality of embodiment, not just theory, no more theory. This is the work that rewires your energy, your mind, and your life. The door close on the new moon. That is a week from today, March 29th, is when the doors close. The ritual begins on the first quarter, which is April 4th. If you wait, you will miss the energetic window designed to support your transformation. But you don't have to. You can start now. If you don't want to be like, oh, the moon phases and you sync yourself up with that, you don't have to. Any time is a good time for change. This is your moment. Take the step. Join us. Now, let's go over the different ways that you can experience this, because there are different ways. This isn't a one-size-fits-all journey, right? There are multiple ways to step into the ritual of light, depending on how deeply you want to engage. Whether you're just beginning or ready for the full initiation, you have options. So we've got the 44-day ritual challenge. This is the full immersive journey. This is combining the ritual practice with structured Enneagram cycles for deep transformation. This is the daily guided framework to keep you on track. This is community access for accountability and support. I'll get more into the community in a minute. It's not community like you think, because this is a very private, personal journey. This is the best option for those who are ready to commit fully. Then we've got the standalone ritual itself. So this is just the ritual. This is the core practice. And this is where you can integrate it into your routine at your own pace. So this is best for those who are already very self-disciplined, who know how the Enneagram works or wants to integrate it into some other thing. They want to just practice the ritual itself without the additional structure of the challenge. And this is something that once mastered, the ritual itself will take you about 20 minutes to do. It's not super long. In the challenge itself, it takes about 35 minutes daily, plus the lesson, which is about 5-10 minutes. So here's the alone versus live group versus one-on-one versus the self-led. So we've got the ritual course, which is solo and self-paced. So like I said, it's just the ritual itself. You receive the full practice and you can take it from there. There's no additional structure. You can integrate it into your life as you see fit. It's perfect for those who are independent and ready to explore on their own. Then we've got the 44-day challenge. So that's the deeper challenge. We have it as pre-recorded because, again, we just finished a round of it that started on the Lunar New Year. And that just wrapped up on Thursday. So that's good to go. You could start this today if you wanted to. This is a deeper experience, combining the ritual with the structured Enneagram cycles for transformation, and it is all apropos for this time of year and all of that stuff. So this is completely self-paced and free flow, so you can follow along at your own rhythm. I do recommend that you do this ritual as close to bedtime as you can after the work for the day is done, at least your job work, the stress work, all of that, right? After dinner, if you can. This is great for those who want guidance without that strict accountability. For people that do better on Chronos time, right? Events rather than structured, rigid time. You can also do this as the live group experience. So again, this starts on April 4th. This is more structured and accountability driven, right? We go live every day for 44 days at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know 6:30 is a little early. If you live in Pacific Standard Time, I apologize for that, but I've got to be able to get the ritual we have to do it, and then I need to be able to send it out to those that weren't able to make it so that they can still perform it before they go to bed. And that makes it 9:30 East Coast, so I'm just trying to make it as accessible for everyone. We move through the Enneagram cycles together, working toward transformation as a collective, and that's what I mean in the community. So I will stay late on Tuesdays and Thursdays for about 30 minutes where we can talk about this a little bit more, what we've experienced. We also, there's also time we have to set things down before we start the ritual. It's a very sacred container, right? So we can do this all together so that we know that we're not alone in the challenges and things that we go through. Like, life's not perfect, right? We know that. So that's what I mean by community. Again, this is a very private, personal thing. So this is private to an extent, right? Your camera can stay off. You can engage at your comfort level. You don't have to put anything in the chat if you don't want to, because spirituality and change, it's messy, right? It can be really messy. So this is perfect for those who want a balance of guidance, group energy, and a little bit of flexibility here. Not a ton, because again, this is the live experience. I also do this one-on-one. It's extremely limited though, because I have to physically do this with you every day. So this is the most personalized experience. This is where we work together daily, privately, and at a time that works for both of us. So the Enneagram cycles are customized to align with your specific goals and desires. So you don't just kind of have to do this on your own. I'll actually go through, set up the Enneagrams for you, and we'll work through those together. I check in with you daily, and we do the ritual together in a fully private setting, just you and me. This is ideal for those who want high-level support, tailored transformation, and like full-on privacy. So speaking of privacy, I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because the ritual of light is not a performance. This is not something that you do for others or to prove your spirituality. This is deeply personal, sacred experience designed for your transformation. There is no public display, no external validation. This is between you, your energy, your evolution, and your creator. Unlike many spiritual practices that are like shared in groups or require external approval, this ritual is done in complete privacy, allowing you to engage without distractions. No one is watching, no one is judging. This is your space to just dive in and go all in. Your transformation is yours alone, and the depth of your experience will reflect the depth of your commitment. I don't want reviews. There's no validation seeking here. This isn't what this is about. And again, no pressure on this. You can be as private as involved or uninvolved as you want, right? This isn't about my marketing. This is about you. This is a closed, sacred container where you can finally just do the work without any outside noise. So if you're ready to stop circling the same lessons and finally step into transformation, this is your path. If you're ready to align yourself with the deeper cosmic cycles already moving through your life, this is your opportunity. If you're ready to master the forces of white, black, and red magic, the laws of transformation, the Enneagram, and the hidden mechanics of reality, this is your initiation. It's a painkiller for the soul, disguised as ritual, distilled by science, steeped in mysticism, and served to you in a chalice of magic. The question isn't whether or not you're ready. The real question is will you say yes before the portal closes? The path is open. The only question left is, will you walk through? This is your moment. Take the step. Join us. Let's rise together. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for coming to my masterclass. This is the point where I will answer any questions here. Let me stop sharing and get on with it. Hello, hello. Does anyone have any questions here? Go ahead and type them in the box. And let me know what you've got here. We'll give you guys a minute. So we talked about what exactly the ritual of light is. Yes, you can do this if you're brand new to spirituality. What's the difference between this and meditation? Well, we kind of talked about that, right? How is this different from other manifestation or ritual practices? I have done a couple of rituals with other witches. They're not as complete as this. And while they do have value on their own, I haven't seen anyone, I haven't seen anyone, I haven't seen anyone freaking do it like me. I haven't seen anyone teach it like me. I haven't seen anyone put any of this together. So it looks like we don't have any further questions. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate you coming. And I can't wait to see you in ritual. Bye.